Hello and welcome to KYC. I am Sharad Dubey and you are watching NDTV Profit. So let's start the show, but I want you to guess the company which is coming at KYC today, where we'll dissect the company and also ask the management about the outlook ahead. Now, the company is a Gujarat-based power and distribution player. That's the first hint for you. The second hint, recent announcement in a very big sector where a lot of interest is coming. That's the BESS segment, a battery energy storage space. That's what we'll be looking at. Company also is down 35% from 2024 highs. That's a lot of concern from the investors coming in, and they have written a lot of questions to us, and we will be asking that with the management as well. Recently, they've won the GUVNL project as well. Now, let's give you the company's name. You know, what's the concern coming? That's also a very important thing. The transmission industry orders are dying up as well. So we will be asking the reason, will this continue or not? But to give you the perspective, the name of the company, it rhymes. The first name is with a Bollywood's big superstar as well. And no doubts for guessing, it is Rajesh Power. This is the company which we are talking about, Rajesh Power Services. But why are we calling this company? The stock has, given very dismal returns in the last 1 year or so. But what are the concerns coming? The first is a very major announcement has come in. What's the rationale for foray into the BESS space? Already the transmission and distribution space, there are some kind of headwinds already there. The second reason why we are calling this company is there's a rising competition happening in the distribution space. So where does the company stand? What's the moat here? Also, another reason why we are calling this company KYC is the industry is witnessing a slowdown in the transmission projects. And will this continue going ahead or not? That's a key concern where we will be asking the management. Also, another thing is a 3,500 crore order book. Where is the execution timeline? How will the company actually go about it? That's something we will be asking the management as well. Apart from this, going ahead, these are the key reasons why we have taken Rajesh Power here, and any kind of execution of B2G risk. That's one of the largest questions we get from our viewers regarding companies like this, especially what's the private and the overall kind of momentum to look at for the governments. And joining us would be Utsav Panchal, the Director and CEO of Rajesh Power. He will be answering all of our queries as well, which we'll be putting it up. But apart from that, let's look at about the company, what it is all about, and then Utsav will also come in to explain us what's the overall rationale going ahead. But first key reason, of course, is going to be overall you're looking at about the company, like what the company is actually doing. It's a Gujarat-based transmission and distribution player, and largely the company is transferring from an EPC veteran player, which is already there. It's a company, it's a turnkey EPC solutions player, and now it's going into the newer areas as well. Let's understand more about this company going ahead. And apart from this EPC solutions player, the company is established in 1971 and specializes in power transmission and the distribution segment as well. And largely we see there is a good momentum coming in the stock. The stock made its debut in December 2024, and since then the stock has tripled. But last 1 year or so, the stock has taken a lot of patience of the investors. They are executing turnkey power sector projects in the transmission and the distribution space. And also looking at the other operations, they offer comprehensive OEM services as well. So that is an important thing. OEM services are for the solar plants, substations, and the distribution systems for the business operations. Apart from the business operations, they are offering strategic consulting for the substation and the cable ecosystem design as a whole. If you just imagine a grid structure, that is where Rajesh Power is an important component player, largely regional player, but definitely we are going to look at that. Unexecuted order book and L1 positioning is at roughly 3,500 odd crore rupees, and we'll be looking at the outlook, what Utsav will say. Will it be that 5,000 crore mark in some time? So order inflows was roughly 2275 crores in H1, and largely the industry gets better numbers in H2 as well. Apart from this, let's look at the order book positions. Transmission and distribution, that is it. almost you could say 76% comes from the power distribution segment, and the 24% comes from the remaining in the overall transmission segment. So this is the overall order book position coming in, but there are ongoing projects which should be important. 130 kV GIS project in Jodhpur. Apart from this, there are other important projects also which are going ahead by Rajesh Power. If you could just show the important projects. Yes, going ahead. One is there in Jaipur. So largely we are seeing there is a kind of a move happening apart from Gujarat as well. And large power kind of orders are also which is there in the company. And a big supply arrangement, the recent announcement has come in for Bari's BSS project as well. So a lot of developments are happening in Rajesh Power. You can just look at these important ongoing projects, and going ahead, of course, the focus will be in the new business sector, the BESS. But why have they entered? That's also a big question, because already two of these segments, they are facing already headwinds, and the third one they have taken again. So that is something which we'll be watching out for. So this is the important developments which have come in about the company. But let me explain you the overall KYC setup. How do we rate a company in our KYC show? If you could just show the important ratings, that will be very much important in our show. First of all is, of course, the income statement which comes in, the balance sheet, the cash flow, the return ratio. These are the four basic financial ratios which are there. Apart from this, there is shareholding, the street cred, which is nothing but the stock price movement which is happening across various periods, valuation, especially if we compare that with the peers, and last but not the least, the outlook of the company. So these are the important 8 KYC rating parameters where we will judge the company. So the first rating parameter I'd like to talk about, that is the income statement. How the income statement has actually panned out over the next 3 years. We have taken the 3-year CAGR numbers. H1 numbers have also been there in our analysis, and rightly we see the revenue and EBITDA numbers. Let's move ahead and see how they have actually panned out. The 3-year CAGR numbers, the revenue is at 94%, EBITDA coming in at 125%, but the PAT numbers, they are also very decent. And you look at it, there has been a significant growth coming in, and of course it's expected to go past that 100 crore mark in FY27 as well. So net income statement prima facie looks very strong, so I've given a thumbs up for this. But let's look at the second parameter, and that is the balance sheet parameter. Balance sheet is also pretty much important. Largely it seems stable. To look at the overall borrowings, that has actually crept up around 82 odd crore rupees. But remember, this is a very capex heavy industry. There is always a B2G and an execution risk also involved to it, and that's what we'll ask Utsav as well. And the cash bank balance, that's decent, that's around 60 odd crore rupees. Remember, this number has gone up, and it's been almost, you could say, almost September 2024 onwards, or just before that the listing was there. But net it's decent, so I would be giving a neutral rating. The third one is the cash flow segment, and that's where my concern starts coming. I had earlier mentioned you about the B2G risk, the execution risk, and the cash flow segment, because the company is having a significant government exposure also in terms of revenue. And look at that, the operation cash flows and net cash flows, that's where my concern lies. This is just the numbers of H1 FY26, and that's the way where the concern is coming in. And because of that, I will be giving this cash flow segment a thumbs down. So we spoke about the cash flow segment. Another number comes is the ROC and the ROE numbers. Generally for these companies, you could expect 20 to 25% to be a healthy one, and the company has been doing well. FY25, this number has gone up to 44%. This is the ROE numbers. Let's pull up the ROC numbers. That's also decent. That's also going up. It's an upward trajectory which is there around 35. But will this be a bit of pain going ahead, especially when they're going into the new industries, BSS and stuff like that? So because of that, I will be giving a neutral rating, because the history has given a very strong up move, but the future, will this plateau or not? And that's a concern which analysts and some of our viewers have written to us at our KYC show. They have stated for this company, and that is why I've given a neutral rating when it comes to the return ratios. But I'll show you, apart from the return ratios, what else is very much important. We spoke about 4 rating parameters, and all of these rating parameters are on the numbers. But apart from numbers, there's other stories also which say important aspect, the shareholding segment. Promoters are holding it very decently, 73 odd percent. September also, this ratio was around 73%. But my concern starts coming is, even if there is a very little institutional participation, be it FIs or DIs, it is starting to reduce. Look at that, it's around 1 odd percent, and now it's going down, and it's almost, you could say, virtually not there. DI is also, they have reduced their holdings from 5% coming down to 3%. That means institutionally also there is a sell-off happening, and because of that there might be a reason why the stock has down 35% from the corrections from 2024 high levels. Public, it has increased, the retail participation has definitely increased, it has come in, but of course because of this the shareholding pattern I have given a thumbs down. A street trade, let's look at it, what has happened, what returns the investor have got over the last 1 month. Stock is down 9%, and also 6 months stock is down 23%. I already mentioned a big fall happening in the stock, and that's why the concern is coming in, and viewers write to us about these companies. But since IPO, if you are holding it, because there was already a 90% listing pop, apart from that still the company is 3x from its IPO price. So on that basis I will be giving this a neutral rating when it comes to the street cred. Also the seventh one is the valuations, and the company itself is having different peers, because company is having 2-3 businesses. There are wires and cables, there are project consultants and management companies also, but the nearest one I have taken is Kalpataru Power Projects. That's having a 35 times 12-month, you could say trailing P, but Rajesh Power, after a significant correction, is trading at 12x. That doesn't mean it's very cheap compared to its peers, because largely the corrections have happened because of the headwinds which are there, and institutional selling also seen in the counters. So valuations front, because of that I've given this a neutral rating. Also, let's talk about the last segment, and that is the outlook segment. It's very much important, and we have taken what the management commentary was there in the recent Q2 update as well. First of all, they have stated that 40% CAGR growth across all key parameters. That's what they are expecting. And the second one is the BESS entry. Now, this is from the Gujarat Urja Vikas Nigam Limited, and that is something which we will ask Ujjwal. Apart from this, the order pipeline, that's expected to touch 3,500 crore rupees in the coming months. Currently, it's at 3,500 crore rupees. So that's an important statement. And a slowdown, that's the biggest concern. Slowdown seen in the transmission projects. What happens next? Anything you expect in the budget? That's what we'll be looking at. But as of now, outlook, I will be giving this a neutral rating. So let's revise the KYC ratings for the company. The income statement, it's around coming positive. Balance sheet, it's neutral right now. My concern starts coming in cash flow, and that is where this type of business model has a very big risk. Return ratio, they have been decent enough, at least for the industry perspective. Apart from this, the shareholding, that's where my concern comes. Institutional participation is not there. Street cred, largely neutral. Only if you're an IPO investor or holding it very early, you have made good money. But over the last 1 year itself, nothing has happened as such. Valuations, decent after correction. And outlook, that is something which we are watching out. So final rating would be for Rajesh Power around 3.5 out of 8. Generally, these are the neutral ratings when we give the KYC ratings to the show as well. But joining us is, of course, Utsav Panchal. He's the director and CEO, and he has been associated with the company for the last 7 years. He's an MBA from IIM Kozhikode, and interestingly, he has a specialty in the Six Sigma belt as well. Very warm good afternoon to you, Utsav. The question is, first of all, is the BESS project you have entered in here. Already 2 businesses are there which, your hands are full. This third one, how does it make sense, and why is, Rajesh Power actually a good fit in this BESS setup? Yeah, Utsav, please unmute your mic.
Yeah. So basically, thank you for inviting me over here. I'll just answer a question, quickly go through what we exactly do. So we are a leading player in the underground cable laying space, as well as the transmission line and distribution infrastructure space, where we are also carrying out major substation projects up to the 400 kV level, where there is a specialized substation called GIS, gas insulated substation. We are also carrying out that. So coming to your question, I'll just briefly give you a snapshot of the energy storage industry. Yes, we have recently received the LOI from GUVNL for a very small 65 megawatt into 2 hours, which is 130 megawatt hour project. So as of 24-25, the installed capacity in India was 507 megawatt hour, and the installed capacity that became in 25-26 is 5 gigawatt hour. So in 25-26, 65 tenders which were totaling 102 gigawatt hours were issued. So 2026 is a crucial year for the industry, proves itself operationally. So energy storage and Rajesh Power, if I say, while tariffs have, yes, collapsed in the standalone BESS segment, taking into account the strategic role and energy storage is poised to play in power generation, transmission, and distribution, it is crucial for Rajesh Power to develop its credential as an expert in the BESS segment. BESS is a low hanging fruit for Rajesh Power in the sense that the core infrastructure is battery containers, which are largely plug and play in nature. They are all pre-assembled solutions with battery packs, battery management systems, and liquid cooling systems built by the OEMs. So what comes next is the AC side. AC side, we as Rajesh Power are building substation, transmission line, and cables, which accounts to almost 30% of the value of the BESS project. So this makes us one of the best all-in-one turnkey solution provider in the standalone BESS segment. So I hope that answers your question.
All right, and Utsav, some concerns are there, and investors of the company also wrote to me. In Q2 itself, the company was facing competition in the distribution space. Is that competition there also in the third quarter or even the fourth quarter we can expect in the distribution space?
So if I tell you, we are particularly working in the underground transmission, underground distribution space. That is the underground cable laying space, which is a very specialized, nature of work we are carrying out. Also, additionally, we are carrying out medium voltage covered conductor projects, which is roughly around, we are executing 50,000 kilometer of MVCC. It is just a traditional overhead conductor replacement to the new underground, the new type of conductor which carries more power and reliable power. So we are into specialized kind of work. So that is what makes us a little bit unique from our other peers, where we are having the technical experience, the expertise that helps
Yeah,
us.
but
Yeah.
but the competition is still there because in Q2 you had mentioned about it. So till now, that competitive pressure is coming in the distribution space for you.
So there is competition, but what we are working in is a unique combination of projects where the competition is very limited.
All right. And interestingly, the transmission project, now this is an industry-wide problem, it's not company-specific to you. But Utsav, the industry is seeing a good slowdown in this transmission projects coming in. Do you think after this budget, these numbers can move up? So there's a two-part question to it. The slowdown in transmission projects, is it still continuing or some green shoots are coming? And what would be your budget expectations?
So what I would like to have give you some inputs over this. Recently, the Ministry of Power did announce a few slowdowns in the power, the renewable capacity additions. The main reason of the renewable slowdowns is the transmission grid is actually not sufficient to build the equivalent renewable. So the speed with which we as a country have grown our renewable generation, we are not able to generate the transmission speed at the same momentum. So in fact, I would look at the other way, that we are having very aggressive outlook in the transmission segment. Just if we say we are working in Gujarat and Rajasthan, we are having a very huge order bid pipeline, as well as the government has set up some very huge projects of substation, transmission lines, and underground cable projects. So what we are seeing in Gujarat, the JETCO has given an outlay of 96,000 crore to be executed in the next 10 years, which is roughly converting to 9,600 per year. That is mainly because there is a 30 gigawatt renewable that is there in Khavda, and it needs to be evacuated in this part of the state. So we are seeing a very good traction
Okay,
in
so
this.
that's a good traction on that. But Utsav, you had mentioned 40% growth across all the key operating parameters, and that was a
Yeah.
blanket statement you had given in Q2. I also
Yeah.
mentioned, so give me what are the key top two metrics to track, and what are that 40% growth, and why you're stating that?
So basically, if we see our our order book as of September, we are having a 3,500 crore order book, which we just proved to have an order inflow of 2,200 crore worth of orders just in H1, up to September 25, 26. So we are seeing a very good bid pipeline in place, and that is what has enabled us. So in case if we just see the order book of 3,500 crore, which is to be executed in a period of 18 to 24 months, we quite have a very good revenue visibility. in that sense.
All right. Just a one query on the financials front. The cash flows are not improving, and that is where the B2G risk, the execution risk comes in. And, investors also get restless. The stock is also cracking. I won't ask about the stock price fall, but the concern remains is. So
Yeah,
operating cash flows, what happens?
so basically, if you see the nature of our company, we are EPC mainly. We are working with decent margin, but as well as utility specific payment terms. So the negative operating cash flow is primarily due to the retention money inherent to the EPC contract. So what is retention money? Retention money is contractually locked receivables with zero risk, where the counterparty is usually large utilities and governments, and it is fully recoverable within time. So it is the retention money that is locked. But if you look at our business, our EBITDA margins are stable, projects are not loss making, and we have no cost overruns or liquidated damages. So we are very much confident in that.
All right. There's an interesting phase. You have entered into the 400 kV GIS segment. Generally, you are
Yes.
into 220, 200, if I'm not mistaken. Now, this new entry segment, what does it actually mean, for this segment and this industry as a whole? How many other big players are there apart from you? Because this is a larger capacity, if I'm not mistaken, and you have entered into it. So give us more details on that.
So with the recent, entry into the 400 kV GIS segment, the GIS is particularly gas insulated substation segment. Very, very few limited players, hardly in a single digit number, are there in the entire country to execute, to have capabilities to execute such kind of projects. And we'll be completing this particular 400 kV GIS project by around July, August, by which time we'll have some credentials to bid for very large sized projects, complex projects. So this will give us an edge over other peers in terms of execution and bidding and winning ratio.
All right, let's just revise the numbers which we have given in our KYC segment. And of course, Utsav, stay tuned. I have one last question for you. But overall, let's revise the audience what numbers I have given from the research team desk as well. And largely, we see the financials, they are good, but the cash flows, that's where my concern is there. And largely, we see the street cred also. There is a kind of a positioning coming down from the FIs and DIs. So net, I have given this company roughly 3.5 out of 8 when it comes to Rajesh Power. But Utsav, one query for you as an industry spokesperson as well. What are your expectations for this budget 2026?
So in the budget 2026, what we are expecting is very, very aggressive outlay in the distribution segment, particularly where we as all utilities are constantly working towards improvement in power reliability. If you see, we have been by doing undergrounding of cables, we have been able to improve the power failure, power downtime by a significant amount in just this part of the country. So that is one point. And second point, we are seeing a focus on smart grids. Now that is where we have associate company called HKRP Innovations comes into play, where we are providing IoT based smart monitoring systems and solutions to the utilities.
All right. Can you just give in some more details about this HRKP, because everybody's talking about it, and
Yeah.
the future outlay, when the incremental benefits will start coming in from this arm, could you give us a timeline?
So basically, in the HKRP Innovations Limited, we are basically providing end-to-end solutions for IoT-based smart grid monitoring systems, where we as a country have witnessed smart metering projects, at the consumer end. So we at HKRP are everything before the consumer end, where we are providing solution to digitalize the assets and monitor the and control the assets of all the grid parameters, including substations, transformers, and everything. So we have hardware as well as software solution, and the growth outlook of HKRP is also very promising, in the sense the government focus on modernizing the grid. So that is where we come in, and in the immediate next 2-3 years, we are seeing a very good growth visibility in that company as well.
Thanks a lot, Utsav, for giving your views on the company and the industry. And it's very nice to chat with young, dynamic CXOs of companies at KYC.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck for you and the entire Rajesh Power team as well. So
Thank you
that's
so
the
much.
management of Rajesh Power, and of course they have mentioned and they have defended that this is the way the industry works when it comes to their cash flow impact which has come in, but they are still bullish on the budget expectations for the power industries, and net they're looking at the rating parameters, removing the financials. The outlook definitely seems like the worst might be over for the stock. Of course, the transmission part and the distribution part, that's where the concerns are there, but nevertheless company wants to jump in the BSS segment, which is the battery energy segment as well. So that's all folks for the company for KYC today. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit.